Welcome to Tales from the Tips. If you're catching us on YouTube, make sure you give us a like and hit that subscribe button. You can find every episode where you find your favorite podcast, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and also on the Odyssey app. Just head to the Google Play or iPhone store and download Tales from the Tips. I'm DA alongside 15-year tour caddy Mick Middlemo. We like to say that we're just a couple guys that really like to talk about golf, both inside and outside the ropes.
Golf and everything.
A little bit of a different perspective.
Golf and everything else.
Yeah.
But definitely golf.
You ready?
I'm ready, bud.
Let's grip it and rip it. All right. Well, they brought us back.
Episode 2, buddy.
Episode 2. We're a third of the way to the magic mark of 6.
What does that mean?
Well, they say that most podcasts don't last past 6.
Oh, that's a lot of inspiration.
So I
We'll go past
I figured this is like Q school for us.
Yeah, that's six rounds. 6 rounds.
6 rounds, right?
6 rounds.
So if we could pass through Q school, we may have a podcast.
I still have nightmares over Q school.
Well,
6
why?
Because it's 6 rounds, 3 practice rounds.
You weren't playing though.
It doesn't matter. You may as well be. I mean, the players. There's so much stress at Q school. It's ridiculous. We'll discuss that at a later one. But yeah,
you want to discuss that at a later one?
Yeah, that's not much fun.
Okay.
Thankfully, they don't do that anymore.
As our listeners are going to find out, you like to tell stories at later dates all the time.
Yeah.
First of all, you're suffering from an injury.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
Well, yeah, I'm going to bring that up. You should never tell me things in advance before we go on air because I'm going to use it somehow, some way. We'll get to that. First of all, how was your weekend?
My weekend was very busy. Very, very busy.
Yeah, you had a lot of friends up there in Jasper.
I work up in Jasper, and apparently it was Jeep Fest this week, and I guess there was 3,500 registered Jeeps up there, and it was just Jeeps and ducks everywhere for like 2 days.
Jeeps and ducks.
I don't understand the whole duck thing. I mean, there's all these Jeeps up there, and there's like 100 ducks on their dashboards.
Did you give away ducks?
No,
you should be giving away ducks.
No, I was not giving away any ducks.
Why?
I don't know. I was serving drinks, and lots of them.
Well, okay, so the funny part about this is I decided to do a little research.
Oh, no.
Do you know what ducks are for?
No.
And you should take this to heart. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. It's a way for Jeep owners to show kindness, admiration, and unity with each other.
And they wave to each other when they drive past.
Right.
That's all they do.
I mean, I drive a truck. I think it's just a normal head nod and Of course
you drive a truck.
I'm in Georgia.
Hyundai Elantra. We don't have a club.
You don't have a club?
No, we don't have a club.
It's
just that's maybe another story. No, that car got bought very quickly during a divorce. I had to get a car quickly, so that was the first one I got quickly.
So another thing that'll be well documented.
Yeah, no, I called one of my buddies who owns a car yard. I said, I need a car. And he's like, when? I went, today. He goes, I've got this. I'm like, I don't know what that is, but I'll take it. And that's pretty much how I got my car. I Ubered down.
Sight unseen, just went and bought it.
Ubered down there, and he handed me the keys and said, you want to take it for a test drive? I said, no, I'll do that when I'm driving home. Sign me up. Just give me the paperwork. Let's get this over and done with. So that's how I bought my car.
Okay. There's so many questions. So, okay. You've gone, now you had Jeep Fest.
Yes.
And then you had a day off.
Yes.
Played
some golf.
What happened?
Played 11 holes of golf yesterday.
What happened to the hamstring?
I pulled a hamstring on the 9th hole at Cobblestone, Ackworth, hitting a 2-iron off the tee.
A 2-iron?
A 2-iron. And that's how I pulled my hamstring. And I was like, that hurt.
What are you doing hitting a 2-iron?
I don't carry a 3-wood. There's no reason to. So I hit 2-iron off the tee. And
what are you doing?
It's a par 5. I'll hit 2-iron pitching wedge.
Are you insane?
No, I carry a 3-wood.
Well, hit driver.
Well, see, do you know this course?
Actually I do.
It's a dogleg left.
Okay.
I hit a fade. I couldn't draw a ball with a pen and paper. So it's difficult for me to try to hit a draw driver around right to left. So I hit 2-iron right to the corner and then hit 2-iron straight down the middle and then hit a pitching wedge on the green. Course management.
Course management.
Correct.
Okay.
In fact, the whole front 9 there at that course, I don't hit driver at all.
So you don't have a 3-wood in your bag. You don't have a 5-wood.
Nope.
Hybrids.
Nope. 4 wedges.
You know how old you are.
Yeah.
You don't have hybrids in your bag.
I know this morning.
Yeah. Never mind.
No, I don't. I haven't carried a 3-wood for probably 15 years.
Well, you got to go for those par 5s and 2.
No. I can't reach those par 5s and 2. I like course management. I can hit driver off the tee sometimes.
You are such a caddy.
Absolutely I am. I know how to manage my game. And my strength is not hitting 3-wood. It's just not in my repertoire. But if I'm going to go for if I've got 290 yards to the hole, why am I hitting 3-wood? Can't reach it. I've got more chance of hitting a 3-wood in the trees. I'll just hit a 6-iron. Hit a 6-iron to a perfect yardage and hit it on the green. Yeah. You look so confused about course management.
I've
played golf with so many people who have that shot, and they're trying to hit a 3-wood. I'm like, what are you hitting 3-wood for? You can't get it on the green. You're just going to hit in the trees. Just hit a 6-iron. Or
Did you not listen to the Open? I said we do talk about this game from a different perspective. We do agree on this. I'm not going to play the devil's advocate over here and say I disagree with you, because I love standing out in a 6-hour round on the weekend and watching the guy that hit the ball 185 yards off the tee on a par 5 with 297 left into the green, and he's standing there with his 3-wood in the middle of the rough, thinking that he's going to make it. I love those.
Yeah, 6-hour rounds of golf on public golf courses is it's torture.
I've been on some private courses where it's like that. So.
I've been on some PGA Tour events where it's like that.
Well, we'll get into that too. So, okay, before we get into today's episode, which I'll say it this way. This is the reason why you are world famous.
Infamous, maybe.
Infamous probably is a better word
probably
for
a better
this.
word than famous.
But before this podcast launches, the NFL season kicks off this weekend.
Yeah.
So because we're not going to just talk about golf on this podcast. We're going to talk about different things.
We should have worn my Kirk Cousins jersey.
You should have. Yeah, instead you're wearing a baseball jersey of a team that's not even in this market.
It's still baseball. I have like 60 different jerseys. I'm going to wear a different jersey every podcast.
No, we're not. No, you're not doing that.
Every jersey. Well, you'll see.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to see which.
I mean, you got a good-looking golf shirt on, and we should be talking golf, but I just come here like that.
Well, we're going to talk NFL first.
All right, let's go.
So, instead of just picking who we think are going to make the Super Bowl and win it all, we're going to go division winners.
Ooh.
Okay?
All right.
We'll start NFC.
Yep.
Okay. East. You'll go first. I'll go second.
All right. Give me the 4 teams.
Okay.
Because you think I don't know them, so.
Well,
I've been here 30 years.
I know you've been here 30 years. You know more Australian football than you know American football.
Well, probably not now.
No,
I probably know more American football now.
Okay. So in the East, we have Dallas.
0 chance.
Philly.
Stop there.
Philly. You're going Philly.
Yep. Dallas are done.
I'm going. You say that. I'm going Dallas.
Oh, of course.
Of course we are. Okay.
You actually look like a Cowboys fan.
Furthest thing from a Cowboys fan, I got, as a Lions fan, which we'll get to the North next, we got robbed in Dallas in a playoff game. So, no. But our only playoff win up until this past season was in Dallas against Troy Aikman, against Dallas.
I guess when you don't have many victories, you remember all those good ones.
You remember them all, yeah. I was in high school when that happened, by the way. Yeah. Okay, North. NFC North. We've got, let me remind you, because I know you're a Bears fan.
I'm not a Bears fan. I lived in Chicago.
Chicago, Detroit, Minnesota, and Green Bay.
Minnesota are toast. They got injuries everywhere. They're done.
Okay, well, they don't have a quarterback.
Irrelevant.
So
irrelevant. Let's go to the Packers.
You're going to do Green Bay.
Yeah, because I'm not going to pick your team.
Well, I'm taking Detroit.
Of course you are.
You did say before we got on this that you think the Bears are going to actually finish ahead of Detroit.
Yeah, I think they will.
Okay. You're going to be wrong, but that's okay. We're at least we're picking before the season starts.
Buddy, I've been married 3 times. I've been wrong many times.
Well documented already. Okay. Let's go NFC South.
Move on. Falcons.
I agree. I think this is theirs to win and win handily.
The team is stacked.
You're ready. Okay. We got Pittsburgh first, so we're in pretty good shape there.
Yeah, but they got...
And then we got a couple tough ones, and then...
One aging quarterback and one quarterback that can't play in Pittsburgh. So, no, not interested.
Not interested. Okay. NFC West. Arizona, San Francisco, Seattle, and the Rams.
San Francisco.
I agree. San Francisco. So far in the NFC, we're split.
Mm-hmm.
We've got 2 that we agree on and 2 that we disagree on. So let's go to the AFC.
All right, let's go.
Okay,
Bring it.
let me grab my sheet for you.
He has to figure out the
No,
divisions.
I don't have to figure it out. I have to look because we did pick these in advance, so I want to make sure you stay on track over here.
Oh, so I cheat. Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say cheat.
Okay.
I didn't say cheat. The East.
Yep.
We've got the Aaron Rodgers-led Jets, Miami, New England, and Buffalo.
Buffalo are done. They're finished. They got no players to play up there. Miami.
Okay. Hang on. I'm going to say Miami, but hang on a second. You say Buffalo has no chance.
No,
You don't
so.
think
I
anything
think-
of Josh Allen?
Yeah, he's got no one to throw it to anymore, I don't think. No, I think they're finished. Miami.
Okay. And no stock in the Jets.
Zero.
Zero stock.
I've met Aaron Rodgers. I'm not a fan, so I can't cheer for him at any particular stage.
Well, we'll get to that one because I have heard that story.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot wait for you to tell that story.
Oh, I'll be telling that one. I'll be throwing a few people under the bus. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
scared.
I've got a football for you to sign. Okay.
That's how
Never
the story.
mind.
That's how that story goes.
Inside joke there. NFC North. Or AFC North, sorry.
AFC.
Baltimore, Cincy, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland.
Baltimore all day. Good team.
So I was originally leaning Cincy, but I am going to agree with you since we already have these on the sheet.
Mm-hmm.
And then also my inner self will never, ever allow me to pick anything from the state of Ohio. So,
What's wrong with Ohio?
well, it's the armpit of the country, if you ask me, but that's because I'm from this great state of Michigan. There's that team in that other city, that spent $20 million. We'll see how they finish.
That's right. Yeah, I keep forgetting. Yeah, so you don't.
You can never forget that.
You don't like Ohio State.
You can say it. I'm never going to say it. So.
Oh, sorry. I was just prompted.
Don't forget the
Ohio State.
Yeah. Okay. So let's
my Australian
let's go. You're smarter than you look. The South. We've got Jacksonville, Tennessee. You're already looking inquisitively on who else?
Jacksonville,
Houston, and Indy.
India, they got nothing. Jacksonville with the highest paid quarterback with a bad haircut.
He's from the state of Georgia. Can you? I mean, come on.
No, I don't think he's very good, but I think they'll win that division.
Okay. So I am going to agree.
I'm obviously very.
We wrote these down. We wrote these. You're a very good American football fan, clearly, because you and I are so far almost all the way there. Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting then.
So the AFC West. I mean, I don't think there's much of a story here. It's Kansas City and everybody else.
Kansas City. Oh, I can't wait for them to come to town.
That's going to be a fun game. I think I should bring you.
You probably should.
Okay.
You actually
Done.
can. Really?
Yeah. You're going to be my guest that night.
That's a Sunday night game, isn't it?
It's a Sunday night game.
Oh, that'll make work a treasure on Monday morning, won't it?
Yeah. We'll do a podcast that week, too. We'll have some fun with that one.
It'll be fun being in Jasper at 7 a.m. in the morning after that game. Sorry, boss.
Yeah, that's all right. So, Tour Championship just wrapped up.
Yep.
Scottie Scheffler goes on to win. Kind of coronation event. Now, we're not going to get into the format or anything like that because, no offense, you and I are not smart enough to figure out a different format. No. My question to you, though, as a former caddy, and when you were out on tour, there was this guy named Tiger Woods that was prowling around.
He's pretty good.
He was pretty good. What was the mindset? Because, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of guys out there that have caddies right now. With Scottie, because they're already talking about it on the broadcast. Scottie's coming up the leaderboard. the guys are watching scoreboards.
Mm-hmm.
They start choking. What was your mindset, or how did you keep your players in line when you were going into a tournament, knowing that it was a Tiger event? Because, the crowds are larger. The buzz was more. Obviously, he was a favorite to win it. You've got a player that, your goal is to win a golf tournament.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What did you do?
The mindset is like a lot of guys you caddy for. It's like, it wasn't just Tiger in the field. You had Phil and other guys in the field as well. So you knew it was going to be a tough week to win. But there's a lot of guys out there would have just been happy to go out there and really just have a great week, compete, finish 20th. You get paid a lot of money to finish 20th on the PGA Tour.
Oh yeah.
And I remember Kevin Kisner having an interview. He was at Torrey Pines, and then he's like, "Yeah, I like coming here, but I know I can never win here." And they're like, "Well, why do you come here if you know you can't win?" And he's like, "Well, they pay you a lot of money for finishing 20th on the PGA Tour." And they do, and I've had this conversation with many guys I've caddied for. It's a good week. It's back then it was it's $90,000-$100,000. These guys are playing this game for money.
Oh yeah,
have no fear.
I mean,
now a lot of it, obviously Tiger, it's about winning and stuff, and his was about victories and things like that. But there's a lot of guys out there who just want to have a really, really good, solid week. And I mean, I knew when I was caddying for a few guys, we're not going to beat Tiger Woods this week. It wasn't going to happen. Tiger was he was too good. And I mean, at his best, he was just way too good. But if you want to have a nice top 10 finish or a 20th finish, fantastic. Make some great money, and you would consider that a really pretty good, successful week.
So really, the mindset was just finish top 10, top 20, and
go have a great week. And if you get yourself in position, you just put yourself in position. You just never know.
Yeah. Were you ever in a spot where you or with your player that you were head to head with him, or lurking in the up the leaderboard around him?
It's at Memorial one year. We were lurking around.
One of your favorite places.
One of my favorite places. Yeah, I think we finished 5th or 6th there.
Okay.
But
who were you? Who was
Greg Owen?
Yeah, it was when you were Greg.
With Greg, he holed like a 30-footer on the last for birdie to vault us into like 6th place or something like that. So that's a really, really great successful week for a guy like that, And there's like, it's a lot of money. I can't remember how much it was at the time, but that's a great successful week for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know you're feeling bad for Teddy.
Poor Teddy.
He had a tough year this year.
Yeah, I think he got a check for like $2.5 million just from the FedEx.
Yeah, well, the FedEx was $25 million for first place.
Yep.
30th, by the way, was $500,000.
Yeah, it's a pretty good. Take your 8%.
Pretty.
Take your 8% of that. That's a good week.
That's a pretty good week.
Yeah. It's a pretty.
And, by the way, you're in all the signature events next year. And
yeah, it's a happy week for caddies. Those ones when there's no cut events and just you're making a boatload of money already. So yeah.
You told me a story about Fooch.
Yeah, Mark Fulcher. Yeah, Fooch caddy for Justin Rose.
Yeah,
this was maybe 6-7 years ago, and it was at the Tour Championship, and this was one of the events. He was like, "We've got like 7 events left at the end of the year." I think he had one in Turkey or Israel or something like that with like 8 or 10 people only, which I think he ended up winning. And he said that he had 7 events left, like in the silly season, and if he finished last in all of them, he was going to make $7 million.
So he's gonna almost make $600,000 just at 8%.
Just for the 8%, he's going to make $600,000 for these silly events at the end of the year, like
$560 or something.
Yeah,
minus taxes. But yeah. Whatever.
There's another story about that one later too.
So
remember, caddies, pay your taxes.
Public service note. Just gonna throw that one out there, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So last week we kicked off the podcast talking about beers, beer gods, and the reason you and I got together.
Mm-hmm.
Today we're going to start the first part of a 2-part series. We're going to talk about the infamous caddy whack.
We're going to go the Robert Allenby story, aren't we?
We're going Robert Allenby right off the bat. I mean, we've got to let our listeners know really who they're dealing with.
Mm-hmm. I've never really told this story from start to finish. Apart from my family, they know the story from start to finish. I've never really told this story from start to finish, not to media or anything like that.
I know you've done obviously you've done media interviews regarding it, and then there were things that changed as time progressed.
Yeah.
you've said this to me, and that was the curious part for me. It was always like, you've never told this story in its entirety.
No.
So let's start.
All right.
Okay. January, take a deep breath. January 2015, the Sony Open in Hawaii.
Yep.
You are on the bag for Robert Allenby.
Correct. First event.
First event. Okay, so let's start there.
Yep.
How did you and Robert even get together? Because normally, Hawaii, you're an established player-caddy relationship.
Correct.
Because, I mean, that's one of the premier events of the season.
Yeah, it's a great first event to start.
Yeah.
You know, you go in Hawaii, everyone's having a great time. It's a beautiful setting. It's a nice golf course. I think I can't remember who I was caddying the year before. It might have been Daniel Chopra. I think he may have lost his card, and so I was just kind of looking for a job. And I messaged Robert on Facebook and said, "Hey, do you have a caddy?" I knew he didn't have a caddy. I was like, "Hey, are you interested? You know, can I maybe try this out?" And I guess he went to one of his friends from TaylorMade and said, "Hey, look, Mick just messaged me and said he's looking for a job. Would you think he'd be good?" And the guy was like, "Yeah, absolutely. Mick would be great for you. He's not going to take up with any of your nonsense or anything like that." So.
Because it's documented that Robert was a caddy killer.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I knew I was getting myself in for it because, I mean, I've known plenty of people who've caddied for him who went, he's
So you're going to work for an employer that is known for just... It's kind of like my job. Well, I know that I'm in line to get fired at some point just because of what I do.
Yeah, you are, yes.
But, so you're
His nickname was The Beast.
His nickname is... So now, by the way, so last week we talked about... So you've caddied for two of the most notorious... caddy killers, one on the LPGA Tour and one on the PGA Tour.
Yeah. Just a glutton for punishment.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So you and Robert connect.
He calls me, says, "Yep, we're good to go."
Any practice rounds? Did you get to know each other?
No.
Just
Well, I knew him obviously because he's Australian, and I'd seen him on the course.
Oh, just because because
the Australian
fellow countrymen.
The
good.
Australians kind of gravitate together on the PGA Tour. We'd always sit there and we would talk about football or cricket or something like that. So we'd be on the range just talking and things like that. And so yeah, I knew him, and he was like, "All right, let's go. I'll meet you out in Hawaii." So away we went. So I met him out there, and 2 practice rounds, and away we went Thursday.
Okay, so.
Practice rounds went fine. I mean, he kind of explained what he liked, what he didn't like, and stuff like that. And we were just having some fun, basically, first event of the year. And, he invited me down to where his hotel was, and we sat on the beach and hung out and had a couple of beers, and we were ready to roll for Thursday.
All is good.
Yeah, ready to roll Thursday.
Yeah.
And away we went.
And how did we do? How did we do?
We missed the cut. I think we missed the cut by 2 shots. It wasn't like a bad, it was like a good first event. Knock a bit of rust off. You're in Hawaii, and then. At the end of the Friday, he's like, "Hey, you want to go out for dinner? I'll meet you at this wine bar at 8 o'clock, and we'll catch up, and I'll buy you dinner, and we'll have some beers, and away you go at 8 o'clock." So away we went.
And away you went, but before.
Well,
before that, though,
yeah,
there's part of this story that you've told me that you didn't eat that day.
I very rarely eat on the golf course. I very rarely. I'll have a very, very small breakfast. I'll never eat lunch on the golf course.
Do they not feed caddies?
They do, but it was just one of those things. I didn't want to be looking for a restroom halfway through the round, sort of thing. So it just wasn't my thing. So I was like, and so I go to McDonald's after the round. I know I'm going out to dinner with him, but I basically I'm hungry, so I go and get like 10 nuggets from McDonald's before we go out and have dinner. And
by the way, you're in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And you're going to McDonald's.
Yeah. Well, it's just a quick snack on the way home. So
okay.
Well, I get my ticket from the girl, and my ticket number is 666. And I'm like, oh, what could possibly go wrong today with that thing? And I even took a picture of it and posted on Facebook, what could go wrong? Well, little did I know. Okay. So then I eat my nuggets, go back to the room, and then 8 o'clock I meet Robert at the wine bar.
So, well, and as our listeners get to know you like I know you, you're not a wine connoisseur, so to speak.
Not by any stretch of the imagination. I've been drunk on red wine once, and that'll never, ever happen again. I couldn't tell you the difference between a $2 bottle of red wine, a cask red wine, or a $1,000 bottle of red wine. All I know is they're red.
That's it.
That's it. So I'm at this place where...
So you're out of your element completely.
Completely out of my element.
Because you were even telling me about dinner that...
Oh, yeah. It's they serve you get a plate that's the size of a family-sized pizza, and it's got 3 pieces of meat on it. And you're going to be hungry on the way home. It's just whatever. And then... They didn't have the beer I like, so I guess I think I was drinking Corona or something like that. And then they're all drinking red wine. And then you could go downstairs and they have a card that you put money on and you could just go around and sample all these different red wines. And I guess I was having this Opus, which was like $26 or $29 an ounce or something like that. No idea. Not completely out of my element.
Right. So, okay, so then what happens?
We go there. Dinner's like $600. We're with a buddy of his, Anthony, who I just met for the start of the tournament.
Yeah.
He was sort of walking around with us. So we're at the wine bar, and he's doing what Robert does, gets drunk. He's not the best drinker in the world. He's no world champion drinker, that's for sure. And he gets a little bit obnoxious at times. So we're just like, we're just talking. We're having a good time. We meet a bunch of Australians there, and then we're drinking. But by this stage, it's getting close to 11 o'clock. I'm bored. I don't want to drink red wine. I would just want to go and have a Budweiser somewhere, and a Jameson. So I'm like, all right, I'm leaving you guys.
Real simple.
It's very simple. So I'm like, I leave, go back to this Irish bar, and I said, hey, we'll meet you at the Irish bar afterwards.
Irish bar in Hawaii.
In Hawaii, yeah.
Yeah, shocker.
Well, I go there, and there's really no one there. It's like boring. And his buddy Anthony calls me and says, hey, is Robert with you? I'm like, no, he's not with me. He's like, well, I can't find him. I'm like, well, I don't know, maybe he left with somebody. I mean, he's a single man. He can do whatever he wants, and that was it. So I leave, and then I'm walking back towards my hotel, and there's Chili's there, so I stop at Chili's, in another fancy place that I go to.
Look at you.
And I just booze you up. But you're still drinking $8 beers because you're in Hawaii. It's expensive.
Right.
So I just belly up to the bar there, and I'm sitting next to Lance Bennett, who at that stage was caddying for Matt Kuchar, who now caddies for Tiger Woods.
For Tiger, yeah.
So I'm just talking with him, and we're just having a few beers. I'm like, yeah, I was just with Robert. It's just Robert's being Robert, getting a bit drunk and loud, so I didn't want to deal with it anymore. So I went back to my hotel room after that, and that was it. And then,
but that's not it.
That's not it. Well, then I get this. I wake up in the morning. I've got like 30. My phone's on silent. I've got like 30 missed phone calls, like text messages, like 30 missed text messages, and I'm like, and it's all from his buddy Anthony. Robert got bashed last night. He got kidnapped. He got put in the trunk of a car, and I'm like, what?
What?
I'm like, he was kidnapped. He was put in the trunk of a car. He's got no money. He stole his wallet, his phone, everything. He's got, cuts and bruises all over his face and stuff like that. I'm like, what? All right, I'll meet you there. So I drive down. I get a taxi to his hotel room, and he's got like scars and scratches and stuff all over him and things like this. And so he's telling the story. He's like, yeah, I was put into the trunk of a car. I must have been roofied at the place. I don't remember leaving. I just remember getting out of the trunk of a car and this lady helping me and stuff like that. So I'm just like in shock. Like,
right?
Did this just happen? So we decided.
This is your new player, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. So we decided to get in a taxi and go to the bar to see if we can get some footage of it. Yep. So we explain what happened. We call the police. There's like 2 policemen there, and they're not really being very helpful at this stage. So I call a guy by the name of Danny Colston, who runs the security from the PGA Tour at that stage. And Danny used to be the assistant director of the FBI. And I'm a great friend of Danny. So I explains what happens to him, and he's like, well, are you serious? And I said, yeah, we've got 2 policemen here who aren't really helping us. And he's like, all right, I'll make some calls. And this, trust me, when I tell you this guy knows a lot of people, this guy knows a lot of people. Because the next, there's like 10 detectives, there's like 20 police cars there. It was like full on. Yeah. Now it's a full on.
Now you got the.
Now it's a full on investigation. Well, Robert had posted a picture of himself on Facebook.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And to this day, he tells me that only his friends and family could see it. Well, I get a text message with a couple of question marks. What's going on? So I call Trip Eisenhower, who's a great buddy of mine. I used to caddy for Trip. He works at Golf Channel, and I say, hey, listen, this is where I am. I'm at the wine bar. We're just checking this out, the footage, and he's like, tell me what happened. So I look at Robert. I said, Golf Channel are interested to find out what's going on. Do you want me to tell Golf Channel this story?
So you are, because this is a part of the story that
has been embellished.
Right. Well,
I was accused of leaking this to the media.
Correct. That was. I didn't want to say that, but
which could be nothing could be further from the truth.
Okay.
Because I could have just hung up the phone and said, hey, don't worry about it. We'll handle this. But I asked Robert, I'm like, hey,
no comment.
Golf Channel's on the phone. They want to know if I can tell them the story. And he's like, absolutely tell them the story because I want to find out who did this to me. I need as much publicity, basically. I need people to know. I'm just like, you really want to go down this path? That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking,
right.
You really want to go down this path because I know what's going to happen. This is going to be a big story. Yep. I already know that. And he's like, absolutely tell them. So I tell Trip Eisenhower the exact same story. Steve Sands calls me back from Golf Channel, and Rex Hoggard, they both call me. And Steve Sands, who's like running the show, says, are you sure? I'm like, yep, this is exactly what he said. And I think you can get on YouTube with about Steve Sands, like it's breaking news. Like in the middle of the tournament, he comes on and says, Robert Allenby was robbed, bashed, kidnapped last night, And then media hysteria just blew up. It was out of control. Out of control. Because all I see on the cameras is Robert leaving with like 2 or 3 people, going down an elevator, and that's the last you see of him.
Okay.
And that was the last. That was last. There was no footage of anyone putting anything in his drinks, because the footage was really good, actually. There's no one putting anything in his drinks or anything like that. And so, yeah, that was it. And then the media just went crazy after that.
So,
with me, basically.
I was about to say, because they're getting, because he's not talking at this point.
No, he hasn't said a thing. He's just using me as...
You're just the spokesman.
I was the spokesperson. We leave the wine bar. We go back to the Apple store. He gets a brand new phone because obviously he was stolen. I go out to dinner with Ryan Palmer, one of the golfers. He's caddy. Jerry Foltz from Golf Channel. My phone just starts blowing up. And I'm getting media requests from all over Australia, which I did a couple because I'm very good friends with some media people back in Australia. Eddie Maguire, who's like the mayor of the media in Australia, good friend of mine. I tell them the story, But again, I'm like, hey, I wasn't there. I don't know.
You're telling them the story that you were told.
Correct.
Not the story that you've...
Yeah, because I said this is what Robert told me. And again, I made it perfectly clear I wasn't there. I left 20 minutes earlier.
Right.
But again, it's media. It's the lead story in every news outlet in Australia and all this sort of stuff. And I'm out for dinner and I'm getting phone calls from the BBC in London. I'm getting phone calls from Good Morning America. I mean, they get your phone number pretty quick. I guess if the media wants you, they'll find you.
They'll find you.
Yeah. And it was like, and I'm like, again, I kept telling the story. This is what Robert told me. This is what Robert told me. Robert's not talking to the media at this stage, at anything. Finally, Jerry Foltz is like, let me take your phone calls. Because my phone was ringing every minute.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy. And so we have a few drinks that night, quite a few. And so I end up going back to my hotel room like, this has just been a long day.
Yeah. And
I wake up in the morning a little rough, so I'm like, I'm going to go get some breakfast. And I walk downstairs and there's a bunch of media there and I'm like, it's kind of weird. And then I'm like, oh, that's for me. And like, they're just like microphones and things, everything in your face. And I'm like, I don't know. You'll have to ask him. Yeah. Just, that was it sort of thing. And then it just...
And they're finding your wife, at this time, your wife...
Yeah, my wife, my ex-wife, she was getting phone calls and stuff like that. Hey, has he said anything to you and stuff like that? And she was getting pretty annoyed with it because, she's back home. She's back in Atlanta. So she was getting phone calls and stuff like that. So yeah, it got a little out of hand real quick, that's for sure. And, and then obviously the next week he didn't play because he wanted a week off and he was still a bit sore, I guess, from his trunk incident, I guess, whatever.
From the kidnapping.
From the kidnapping. And so I just went out to Palm Springs. He paid me for the week to be out there. And then the following week was going to be the waste management. And I'm like, please, in my head, I'm thinking, please don't play that event.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's definitely not the event you want to...
The first event back, it's Super Bowl week, which is out there as well. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, he's like, yeah, I'm going to play. And he did a media conference out there, press conference out there in front of maybe 300-400 media people from Australia and all over the world. And, we had armed police following us around that week and stuff like that for some reason, and, on the course. It was wild.
And I remember there's a part of the story that came out that he was at a strip club.
Yeah, Golf Channel actually sent Rex Hoggart over to Hawaii to, investigate this whole thing and, try to fill some holes, because it's a really weird story.
Yeah.
So they went over there and they basically went to every strip club in the area. It's like, hey, was this guy here? Was this guy here? Was this guy here? And they're like, no. And then finally one guy went, yeah, he was here. He spent $3,000. Golf Channel ran that story, which was kind of disappointing because it was all BS.
Yeah.
I can guarantee for a fact he wasn't at a strip club. There was no way he went to a strip club. There was nothing on his credit card to say he was at a strip club. There was none of that. So
well, his card at this point, his wallet and cards are missing.
Yeah.
And his phone, and then obviously
there's a homeless guy that picked it up, and I think he went to an ABC store over there and bought a bottle of tequila and 2 packets of cashews, and then he went and stayed at the Sheraton.
Yeah,
something like that. It wasn't
which by the way, he was convicted for picking up fraudulently using.
Yeah. And that's the only thing that's ever come out of it. And I even think the police, when they were doing the interviews, were looking at me like, this kind of seems a little far fetched. Okay. I thought it was far fetched, but I wasn't going to say that because you stay loyal to your man. And I did, until a few months later. Which we will touch on the next time when we reconnect. We'll talk about you being fired. See, that hurts. Yeah. I can tell you one thing about that. The next incident was I was never fired on the golf course. 100%. You just said that to hurt me.
I didn't say that to hurt you. That's just that was the headline. Thanks for teeing it up with us. New episodes drop weekly. Hope your drives are straight, your putts are short, and your scores are low. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on Tales from the Tips.
See you guys.